I'm sitting here thinking, right, I'm having a lot of conversations over the last week with multiple different people like I normally do. And it was kind of strange to me, right? Because I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, I'm talking to certain different people. And it's just the fact that everyone says men are toxic and shit like that. And, or they'll say, you know what, like, toxic masculinity, this, that, the other thing, men shouldn't think this way, men should do this, the other thing, right? And I'm even having like this weird conversation the other day. It's just that a lot of men today are weak, right? And I was one of them. I'll be honest about this. I was very weak, very emotional, and very insecure about myself. About over the last like how many years it was of my life. And this is why like men are very important. Why they need to be in every household, right? Especially like your father and stuff like that. And we don't have that as much as often as we used to, right? The black community, I forget what the percentage was. I think last time it was 71%. Could be wrong there. It doesn't have a father. The white, the white man is like going up. I think it's almost 30% now. I'm pretty sure, maybe higher. And it's honestly sad. It's truly like, because every man needs a father in the house. They need somebody with morals, strength, and just that brain. And they need those lessons and stuff like that. But even like some of the fathers today are pretty whack. They're fat, overweight, bald. They don't care for themselves. They just care about they just go to work. They go on the fucking phone when they come home. They're not out playing, anything with their kid, any type of sport. Everyone's fat and lazy. And this is the problem, right? All men today are getting soft, flabby, and just retarded. Personally, I just seen this, right? Anybody who walks around, looks around, can see this, who has a brain. A lot of people don't, though. I'll be honest with you. And this is going to sound bad, but this is true. This is something I observed over my whole life. I used to think about this when I was younger. And not to come off as a disrespectful person, but this is true, is that 85 to 90% of the population is just retarded. Maybe 80%. And I'm not saying mentally retarded, of course, but I'm saying to the point of they don't pay attention, they're not observant, they don't give a fuck, they just care about them, what they're doing this weekend, and their dog, right? And, I had a conversation with this person the other day, and he was calling me toxic because of certain beliefs I have and how I want to raise my kids, right? I remember this one interview with Andrew Tate, I forget who it was with, but he was being interviewed maybe by Piers Morgan or something, and they were going to say, how would you feel if you had a gay kid? He's like, impossible. And it's he was talking about all that stuff, which is how I agree, that's how all men were. And now we're, supposed to believe something else, and it's kind of strange to me. Did you ever notice, the very emotional men, right? Because there's a lot of them out there today. I know a few. They're so emotional to the point of, they can't handle certain things. If something pisses them off, they just start raging, right? And this is, something that you can look around. I don't think anybody should be on any antidepressants. I'll probably make another video on this later. But it's you see a lot of men are antidepressants now. They're confused about themselves. They're weak. They don't do nothing. They're fat and lazy. And don't get me wrong, I was one of them, fat and lazy and stuff like that. I weighed 280 pounds at the age of, I believe, 16, and then I finally started to lose weight by 17 years old. It was my genes, 280 pounds, right? And you have to find a way. You got to keep getting motivated. You need people out there to help you, but a lot of men aren't out there. There are a lot of snakes out there. There's no real friends. And I feel today men are just being neutered. This is the whole point of the video, just like the title. Men are just being neutered, right? They have birth control in the water. Men are supposed to believe this. They're toxic. They can't act this way. They got to do everything for their female, whoever their wife is. And it's just that's not how it's supposed to be. I grew up thinking of other things, right? We would have these conversations when we were younger, and unfortunately, I didn't have male role models, right? I didn't have a lot of them. I had my grandfather who was great, and then I had a stepdad, right? But you look at this other stuff, a lot of these other men out there are just emotional, and it's just they can't handle certain situations. Something happens to them, like a trauma, they lose a dog or something. This is part of life. This is natural. But everything's been taken to trauma dump this ruined my life, losing that. And it's you gotta chill. You should not be doing anything out there drug use and stuff as well. And this is how it keeps going on, right? We look at our society, look around the internet, which is taking over everything. A lot of people are just brainless zombies now. Truly. I mean, any person you look around is a brainless zombie. I don't understand it no more. I truly don't. And obviously it's the internet, that's the one. Two, we're all taught, certain things. The women today, right, back in, I want to maybe argue this during, you know what, I will argue this. During the time, right, when they let gay marriage become a real thing, right, when that officially got passed, right, by Obama, it was, they gave that, gay community or LGBT, whatever the fuck they are, community, they gave that community pretty much 1 inch. They took the whole yard looking into it 10 years later. Right. It's been 13 years, I think, since it passed. So, maybe 14 years. They took, you give them an inch, to take the whole yard. You have transgenderism in the school. You have the pride flag everywhere, all over school. Some schools don't even have the American flag. They don't do the Pledge of Allegiance anymore. They're not told to do certain things. They're being lied to about multiple things, saying, yeah, you should be more emotional. You should cry more. You should take antidepressants. You should talk to a therapist. It's what is going on here? Why are we overdoing this stuff, right? And it's really sad because, like, if you look around, we have no, like, for example, the schooling. We barely have any male role models on the school, and if we do, they're beta male cucks. Seriously, they're all some, like, high estrogen or some beta male type man or, like, a figure who dresses really gay, and it's like, this is not normal to me, right? And I had a conversation with somebody the other day about this, and he was like telling me, he's like, you're toxic because you believe this and stuff, what you want with your kids. And I'm like, no, I'm not toxic, it's just truthful. I was like, this is how we always believed. He's like, well, society changes, you need to get with the times. I'm like, I'm not gonna change my belief how I always grew up thinking this way, right? I disagree with probably 90% of my family members, right? I think there's only like one person that really agrees with me on a lot of things. And he's my cousin, of course, but it's like, we see things differently. He's very observant, he's very smart, but the thing is, right, we both saw this growing up. We would see different things. We're like, why is that dude dressing like a faggot? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the problem is, right, is that nobody, like, for example, actually, when I was at this college, right, my friend went there the year before me, and he graduated with business. I went there, and he's talking about the same person. He's like, this dude's wearing dresses. It's like, dude, nobody's trying to see that chest hair and shit. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? And there's so much confusion. Like, if you go to any of these college campuses, too, I think I brought this up in another video, this one dude dressed like, it just was insane. I'm like, what the fuck are you wearing? Like, honestly, I didn't even know how to call it. Like, something like a dress slash, it was weird. I just don't understand. And it's like, yeah, he had a wig on. It was this weird shit. It was like drag or something almost. It's like, who thinks this is okay? Like, I just don't understand this. Like, society has let this happen. And then they go into the female bathroom. I was like, whoa. Like, I saw him, like, literally go to the female bathroom. I'm like, is anybody gonna stop this? Is somebody gonna, like, be like, yo, man, you can't be coming in here? Like, no female's gonna say nothing like that? I saw it only happen once at our school, right, when I was there. And one girl was like, no, you gotta get the fuck out of here, man. And of course, like, you know, it was like a funny black girl. I thought that was funny as shit. She didn't play that game. She was like, what the fuck is wrong with all y'all? She was like, this is the problem with this place. And I'm like, yo, I agree with you. I was like, 100%. I said in the hallway, I was like, this is fucked up. I'm like, he should not be going into the fucking women's bathroom. I was like, God forbid, you know, that's all, a rape or something happens. And he's like, I'm a female or something. It's like, we lost the plot. And you speak like this now, it's a problem. You know, I have no problem giving my thoughts and opinions on men or like anything in society, truthfully, and women. I talk a lot about like certain things now, like with friends, because they've been kind of, like, not friends, but like some other people and stuff like that online too, and people I've talked to in the past. I used to talk to this one gay guy I used to work with, very highly intelligent dude. We saw things differently, of course. And the one time we had like a topic on like gay adoption. I think I brought this up in a video I made in my last, I didn't release yet, but we were talking about, I was like, no, it's morally and ethically wrong. I was like, the household needs a man and a woman. It just has to have that. You have to have strong values. And this is the problem. A lot of dudes just either don't have values these days, they don't care, they just care about what their wife wants, and that's a problem. I've seen that too many times. My girlfriend said this, my girlfriend needs this, and it's like, dude, no. Are you okay? Like, you getting everything done you need in your life? It's like, you can't live for someone else. That's what a lot of these men do today, because they don't work on themselves. They truly don't. Some of them don't after breakups and stuff like that. Like, when I went through my breakup, I worked on myself hardcore. I, you know, started doing things I had to do, like, just to get back to where I wanted to be. And then I made myself a million times better, and I'm proud of who I am, right? And a lot of people just aren't proud of who they are. They don't love themselves. And that's the problem when you have the lack of man in the house, because he's not leading and teaching you. If you don't have a man like that who's just leading and teaching you, it's hard. And I mean, I didn't really learn this until about 24 years old, really, truthfully. Like, I was like, you know what? I was like, I gotta be who I have to be at the end of the day. I can't worry about someone else's problems. I can't worry about somebody else's life. And you can't sit around wasting your time, right? And a lot of your people around you and all stuff like that don't want you to succeed as well. Like, sometimes they look around and say, oh, that man's toxic. He's not good. He's an asshole. He's a you know, a manager, or he's a, you know, CEO, whatever the fuck, right? Like, whatever man leads, right? Of this dealership, or he's a CEO of, I don't know, give me a company out there, like Toys R Us in the past or something, right? He's an asshole. Look, that's the thing. A lot of managers have to be assholes. They got where they are because they're strong and guided. And don't get me wrong, a lot of managers can be assholes. We know them. We met, you know, we worked with them. And I don't think that's always a bad thing, but it's the way they talk down to people is the problem. But you do need a strong leader. It's just truthfully how it is. If we look in society, our presidents we had, or we look into the other world, right? From Hitler, Stalin, Mao, or even like, you know, Hideo Tojo. It's just like they had to be strong, effective leaders, even though those were like, you know, more extreme leaders. But that's the thing, like what men were back in those times, were strong, effective leaders. Now we don't even have that anymore. And it's really sad. I don't know. I've been thinking about this a lot recently. I'm gonna end it there.